Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yesterday I went to the North Carolina Museum of Dolls, Toys, and Miniatures for a dedication ceremony of 2 smart dolls in memory of Tommy Meggs. Tommy was one of the founders of our Carolina Smart Doll Club here in the Carolinas, and this was organized by some of the other members to donate a doll in his honor because he loved this museum and obviously he loves smart dolls as one of the founders of the club. I was very fortunate to interview Tommy back in 2021 about his passion for smart dolls, so I've included that interview at the end of this video so you guys can get a feel for who he was as a person. I hope you enjoy the dedication ceremony and you can maybe learn a little bit about Tommy and our club while you're at it.
I am so thrilled that you are all here today. My name is Beth, Nance, and I'm the founder of the Doll, Toy, and Miniature Museum. Along with my mother, we created this beautiful space 14 years ago. We were across the street in the old liquor store. So everybody in town said, well, where's the doll museum? And then you would say, it's in the old liquor store, and surprisingly, everybody knew exactly where it was. And Nancy, come on in. I'm so happy you and Harry are here. Nancy's on our board of directors, and Nancy is a great doll collector. And Kathy Gregg is here today also. Kathy's our vice president of the board. I have my sweet and beautiful favorite doll with me today, Caroline, my one and only. And then, oh, well, thank you. And Ed, who is out running the trains, is our treasurer for the board, and he has built, along with his team, here's Ed, the entire train from scratch. So we moved into this space. Mom and I started the museum about 14 years ago, but we officially moved into this space the first weekend in last December. So, yes. We are so thankful for everybody who has joined us in this mission with either a membership or a donation or a shout out on Facebook, bringing your dolls to share, whatever it is. But this space, you should feel like it's yours as well, because it is for us, it's for the collectors, for the community, and I say collectors plural because it's for everybody, for trains, trucks, dolls, toys, whatever it might be. My sweet sister Amy had a very rare muscle degenerative disease, and so she passed away 11 days before her 22nd birthday. But Amy was full of life, always the jokester, always playing pranks on people, and she never, I would say she never had a down day. She had a wonderful spirit, and she just made the most out of 22 years. And so when she passed away, my mom and I had a beautiful collection, many dolls, and we thought, what are we going to do with those? And so lo and behold, Mom and I, well, my mom said, let's just start a doll museum. And it was kind of the idea because there was one in High Point that had been around for 20 years, but they were closing. And Mom said, well, let's see what we can collaborate with them. That we weren't able to do that. So she said, we'll just do it ourselves. And I thought, yeah, right. You know, here I've got a job in marketing, and Mom had a career in running a retirement home for 50 years. So I just didn't see the collaboration there between museum. But because of this amazing board that we have here today, who've been with us many years, and volunteers like Perry, who comes and helps do all kind of good stuff, we are so blessed that this is the space that we have. So this space has been donated to the museum. It'll be here in perpetuity, and it just keeps getting better. We plan on having lots of events next year, but this year we've taken the time to really kind of hone the collection, get things out, get organized, and so I'm thrilled that you're here. Let's see, what else can I tell you? Ed, anything you want to say about the trains?
I can go on for a while.
How about any short thing? Anybody, any of the other board members want to say anything? Rebecca Jennings is here also. She manages our gift shop in the front. She is a does retail by trade, and so we're thrilled to have her volunteer and keep everything stocked in the gift shop. So if there's something you think that we need to add, let Rebecca know. She's constantly adding stuff, and we're just thrilled to be here. So, oh, and Emily, I'm so sorry I did not introduce you. Emily and Trish are only 2 paid employees. Everybody else is a volunteer, including myself and my mom and everybody. And Emily would kindly volunteer as well, but we won't let her because she, has bills to pay. So Emily does all our social media, and Trish, who you met at the front door, helps a lot with our administrative support staff and greets people when they come in. So, yeah. So I'm going to turn everything over to Madeline.
Okay, all right. So I'm Madeline Dressel, and I've been sort of delegated to introduce some of the Carolina Smart Doll group, and while we're here today, and I know some of our other members have some wonderful stories to tell, but we wanted to do something in memory of basically our founder, who really pushed and got Smart Doll owners in South and North Carolina together and to interact and to meet each other. So Tommy Meggs was, along with David and Ken Jordan, and of course Tommy's wife Misty, really started off the Carolina Smart Doll Club, and they'll talk a little bit more about how that started. And so Tommy was, extremely influential in finding people and badgering them until they would come to get-togethers. He'd have, events at his house, meet up at parks, things like that. And so, because of him, and he passed away several years ago, we wanted to, he loved the museum, and we wanted to do something to really, honor him, as well as support the museum that he was, very much in favor of. And so we thought, well, what's better way than to donate a Smart Doll for the museum? And so a number of us got together. We got the anniversary cinnamon mirai. The outfit was donated by another friend of Tommy's who's not actually in the Carolinas, but
Far away.
and so we wanted to present that at the museum, and then of course Emily said, well, why don't you guys have an event here? Well, that sounds like a fabulous idea, because at this point none of our houses can fit everyone anymore. So and then when they put the event online, Danny Chu actually saw it. So of course, I'm sure most of you know Danny Chu is the maker of Smart Doll. He reached out to Malachi and I and said, hey, is this you guys' group? Because he knows we're in the Carolinas. He knows that we've been, collectively responsible for badgering to have Chitose re-released over and over and over again. Actually, obsessed. And he's like, well, I want to do something. So he sent us the prototype clear cortex.
Wow.
She has been clear coated, so she's even more transparent, so that you can see the evolved frame and everything. And so I thought that was a fabulous donation for the museum, because it really, it shows, the intricacies of these dolls. Of course, we could see, they're beautiful, they're cute, they're adorable, but there's a lot of engineering that goes into them. And so that is, so these two will be staying at the museum. And so with that, I'll say, I know that David and Misty and Ken have some really fabulous stories about how the group got off the ground. And so I will let them take over for now.
Hey, I'm Dave Jordan. My brother Kenneth Jordan, we're twins, but you'll hear that later.
You lie.
I'll start in the beginning. I purchased Chitose in 2016. She was my first Smart Doll. Now, grant you, I have been following Danny Chu since 2007 on Facebook, because he was the dancing stormtrooper in Tokyo. So he has videos on YouTube about that. And at that time, me and my brother had joined the 501st Legion, which is a Star Wars costuming group. So we were both, me and him, the Biker Scout. So of course, I friended him, Danny, on Facebook, and followed him. Well, I basically watched Danny create Smart Doll. So when he came out with Maria, I really liked the concept and everything. Grant you, the reason they're called Smart Doll, and everybody asks why they call Smart Doll, the original concept for Smart Doll was they were going to be animatronic. That they were going to be sync up with your mobile device, be your GPS, your companion, but they were going to be this size. Later on, he proposed this size because the technology to make these able to move and talk and everything was not there yet. So he came out with this as an April Fool's joke. Well, that didn't pan out either because the technology still wasn't there. But he came out with the plus size Smart Dolls. So 2014 was when Maria came out. And so I fell in love with that. I was like, I want to get one. Fast forward 2 years, I hadn't been able to get one. So in March of 2016, he released it, Chitose. Now she came in milk skin tone, the milk skin tone, which there's several versions of milk skin tones that he has made since then, but the first one was milk, and then he released her in tea, which is this color here. So I fell in love with Chitose, and I said I want to have her, so I bought her in 2016, and so that was my first step into the smart dog world. And my brother followed soon after. I think it was like June of 2017 that he ended up getting one, or March of that year. And so then afterwards, I was doing research, looking at all the other ones, because at that time I didn't realize this doll hobby that certain dolls, certain skin tones would be discontinued. And what happened was, like for example, this is Moonlight in the original Cocoa skin tone. You can't get that skin tone anymore, okay?
Or that sculpt.
Or that sculpt anymore. So I figured, hey, I'll get her later, because she was still available when I first got Chitose. Well, 2017, her sculpt and plus all that skin color discontinued, so no one can get that skin tone. So that's when I realized, okay, if you want something, you want to get it then. So I started buying up smart dogs. Now I got like 50 or something. But so 2018, my brother and I were still doing the 501st, the costume thing, and we were going to do. He was going to go to the Charlotte Comic Con, and he asked if I can bring some stuff for the 501st table, and I said, well, yeah, I have my son that weekend, so I probably won't be able to stay, but I can drop stuff off and then and just leave. Well, I came up there, brought some of my stuff, and it wasn't much, but at that time I decided I was going to take Chitose. Now, granted you, at this point, I've never had my smart doll out in public at all. And so I went to the con, found our table, and got the stuff out, and
I didn't go.
yeah, he didn't go. He didn't show up. Even though he asked me to come, he didn't show up. So I'm like, okay, I'm standing there waiting for members to show up. No one's showing up. We did have one lady, Sharon Lamoth. She's part of our 501st group. She's also part of the Rebel Legion, part of the Ghostbuster group. She's in a lot of groups. She showed up, and she was setting up for the Ghostbusters. I said, "You got anything for the 501st?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll go get some if I have." She lives right down the road from me. And so I said, I called him. He gave me lane scoops, blamed it on his wife. But I said, okay, fine. So I said, I'll stay there because the guys that runs the show were always good to us. So I said, I'll set up a table. It's going to be small. So I set up the table for the 501st. I didn't have my costume anyway, so I just stood there. Then it dawned on me, I have Chitose. And we do, for 501st, we do our charity of choice is Make-A-Wish. So I had the Make-A-Wish logo signed. So I took Chitose out on the table, put her on the table, and had her hold the sign. And so I'm standing there, and I had people come by, and what was funny was I had like a stormtrooper, Biker Scout helmet, and a top hat helmet on the table. So I figured they were coming over there. Most of them was looking at it. Because at that point, Smart Doll is only a few years old, but as in the States, you didn't see them in the U.S. as much. And especially, they're tall. People, when they see them online, also Barbie, no. Barbie comes up here, okay? So they're much taller. So they would come up, they wouldn't say nothing, they just look and go off. And so I'm standing there, like, okay, just mind my business. And then Ghostbusters, huge setup, huge crowd over there, and I'm looking over there. Of course, I know that all the guys over there. I'm looking over there, and about that time, I see this couple that was out of place because it's a con. You're casual. You're either going to be in cosplay, you're going to be t-shirt and shorts, or you're going to be looking, you're not gonna be in your Sunday best, okay? Which those two were. They were in their Sunday best. I was like, they stuck out like a sore thumb, okay? And I was like, what the world? But they were there checking the Ghostbusters. About that time, I made eye contact with the lady. And then next thing you know, she looks, turns around to her husband, hits him on the shoulder, and points over the table. And I'm like, oh, Star Wars fans. So he turns around, his eyes gets big like this, and they come running over there. And they come up, and I'm figured we're going to start Star Wars. First thing out of his mouth was, is that a Chitose? And I was like, you know what a smart doll is? He said, yes, we have two. I said, really? And he's like, we have an Ebony and a Sana. There's Sana right here. That's the one who brought that up. And come to find out, Misty, that's her Sana's. And Ebony belonged to Tommy. And that's the first time I met Tommy and Misty. After that, we exchanged informations, and because they stood there for a long time and talked. But what was funny was we're standing there talking about smart dolls and stuff, and then I just making small talk because I just met them. Was like, hey, if you had your smart dolls, you could have their picture with Chitose. And he's like, they're out in the car. I was like, huh? He said, yeah. He said, they're in the car. Matter of fact, he said, I made them a car seat. So he made a car seat to match the interior of his car.
That's a nice car seat.
Yeah.
I want it today.
Put it in.
That's a nice car seat.
Yeah, and he said, they're out in the car. He said, can I bring one? I said, sure. And the funniest thing is to see a guy in a full suit running down the hallway in a con to go get $2. Right? So then he comes running back in and has Ebony, which we call Ebony Chan and Sana-chan. And he brought him back in, and basically I had him put him up on a table with Chitose, and within a few minutes we had people just kind of gathering, just looking at the table, because of now I want to say one, we had three on the table. So after that, we exchanged information, and then for basically 4 years, there wasn't hardly a day went by that Tom didn't call me. And we became real good friends. I started going over his house. Of course, we come to find out we have all kinds of stuff in common. Of course, Star Wars, vintage toy collecting, anime especially, and then like G.I. Joe, Transformers, all that stuff. So we found out we had a lot of stuff in common, and so we became real good friends. And he actually, like I said, he ended up doing several events, doll meets at his place, and then we were like talking about we need to make a group. And at that same time, Tommy come up and says, "Hey, there's a doll show in Salisbury. We need to go and set up at it." And I was like, he said, like y'all do with the 501st, we need to go and promote Smart Doll. And I said, okay, well that's cool. I said, well we'll call them up, find out what we need to do, if we need a table, how much it's going to cost, or if whatever. And he calls up and he says, hey. He told them who he was. He said, hey, we wanted to come and set up at your show. And they're like, well, what are you going to sell? He's like, oh, no, we're not selling. We're going to set up. It is a doll show, isn't it? And they're like, well, you're not right. You're not wrong on there. So he's like, okay. So we got a table, and we came and set up at it's always doll show. And unbeknownst to us, at that time, it kind of blew up from there. We had a lot of people interested in Smart Doll and everything. Matter of fact, that's when we ended up at that time, I didn't realize it, but we met Malachi.
Yep.
He showed up, and
I didn't have a Smart Doll yet, but I did shortly after. Now we have nearly 70.
And of course, they all blame me and my brother because we were enablers, because we now enable people. when we was at the show, it was really that's my first experience with a doll show. I've been to toy shows, cons, etc., but never a doll show. So when we set up there, and of course I walked around the show and everything, but we were sitting at the table and we're just talking. We had people come to ask us about the smart dolls and everything. A lot of them were like, just curious. A lot of them were like, they're kind of busty, ain't they? And we're like, well, you know, you can change the bus size. You can change the bus size and everything, but you're not wrong about that. So we're standing there, we're talking, and next thing we see these three guys coming into the show. And we're like, hey, you know, these guys were, one had a mohawk and bib overalls, and the other guys, they look like you just don't want to mess with them. Okay, they'll mess you up in a hallway somewhere.
Rainbow hair.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, what's going on with these guys? Well, we figured they would come over and talk to us. No, these guys were circling us like vultures, but never would come over and tear our tables. And we're like, what's up with this? So Misty had actually made us a picnic basket for lunch. So what she did was, two of us would go out at a time and to eat and come back. Well, when we let Misty and Tom go first, and me and Ken stayed, and then me and Ken was going to go. Well, Tom decided he was going to go back with us, so he left Misty at the table. Well, apparently when we left and went to the table to eat, those three guys went to the table and talked to Misty. And then we come back and she's like, hey, guess who I talked to? And we're like, who? It's those three guys. And we're like, well,
Gal with the overalls. That's who it was. The gal with the overalls.
And we were all upset because they didn't want to talk to us. Were they scared of them and everything? And it's like, then come to find out later, we end up actually meeting Malachi.
And the guy in the overalls and the mohawk.
We're going to his house.
What was incredibly funny about this story is we had found out about the Carolina group, and we had gone to our first event, which was at Tommy's house. Tommy was regaling this story to the group.
Because it was the first show that you guys had been out, and he's telling about the story about this guy and these two other guys that he was with.
Yeah, with the pink hair, the rainbow, and I was just like, that was my husband.
She couldn't make it because she was on a work trip.
Yeah. So you know, Tommy's regaling about the overalls. I'm like, that's he's right here.
So yeah, that's when we realized to put the two together, and it's like, but right after that show and during the show, that's when we decided to come up with Carolina Smart Dolls and Club, and to cover North and South Carolina members, and so we of course we decided that. I created the Facebook page, and then we started getting members all over the Carolinas, and because of us doing this club and going out and doing the doll shows, we're like number 7th in the nation of smart doll sales.
Yeah, so something like that. And Tommy was so involved in trying to let people know that there was a group around that was meeting in persons, and so. I think this was
we went on a recruiting offensive.
Yes. So one of the stories I think really kind of is Tommy. This was probably our second or something get together, and Tommy's like, Madeline, there's a girl in Lexington. She's real close to you. She has smart dolls, but it would be really creepy for me, a middle-aged man, to message her and ask her to join our group. So can you message her? And so one of our dearest friends now, of course, is a member of the Smart Doll
And what's
group.
funny about that is that I thought that Ebby-chan was a woman the whole time.
Because Tommy's Facebook page was Ebby-chan. He didn't have his own personal one. At the time, he didn't have social media.
He did not.
We
didn't know nothing
Neither
about
one of
social
them had social media. And they're like, okay, because I told him, I said, did y'all go on Facebook, like the Smart Doll Appreciation sites and stuff like that on Facebook? And he's like, no, I've never been on that. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to get on Facebook. So he ended up, I actually helped them set up their own account, and he decided Ebby-chan. Now, Ebony, the reason he got Ebony was because Ebony represented Misty.
Tim, like me.
Yeah, he said she had the same hair color, same eye color, and everything, and that's why he got Ebony for it. And then he asked which one she wanted, and she wanted Simon.
Because he had already got Evie, and then she wanted Simon, so it's like.
He didn't tell me. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I got two.
yeah. He told me, he said, yeah, I ended up buying 2 without her knowing. He said, I convinced her to let me buy 1, and then I ended up getting 2. And he was scared to death when 2 showed up. But after that, he said, that's it for us. Now, grant you, once again, being an enabler as I was, but by the time Tommy passed away, they had like 22 smart dolls, even though they were only going to have 1 each.
That's how it always starts.
Yeah.
That's how it always starts.
That's how I was.
That's how you get to 200 and
Yeah, that's how you get
23. 220. I'm guessing.
And talking about recruiting, what was funny was he called me up one day and he's like, hey, there's a guy in Charlotte, or near Charlotte, that has a smart doll. We need to recruit him. I'm like, what? Who? And he's like, but he's in Canada right now visiting his daughter, so he has can't contact him. I'm like, what? And then they basically, Bill over here, Tom went after him.
He stalked him.
Stalked him. He found out the exact day he was coming back from Canada.
He was blowing me up for 3 months in Canada going, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? I want to see your doll. I don't even have a doll yet. I'm just researching it.
Yeah, because he called me up and said, all right, I made a thing to meet this guy. I want you to meet me over with him. I said, okay. He said, bring Chisholm. Okay. So Chisholm's this one here. Yeah. And so here I go, get the address, we meet Bill here over at the park in Charlotte, and so we have our he had Evie Chan, I had Chisholm, we had him open the
This is middle of February too. It's cold.
yeah, and we had him standing in the back of, was it my car or was it?
It was Tommy's.
It's back in Tommy's car.
Yeah, Tommy's car, and so we had him stand over, and we just had him standing there and all this. And the only thing I can remember is that Bill over here, because Chisholm was swaying a little bit, he's like, oh, she's gonna fall. No, she's good. But like, yeah, it's funny because the dolls, can balance really well, for the most part.
Unless they have high heels.
Yeah, unless they have high heels. High heels is yeah.
The movable ball frame does not balance as well barefoot. They're fine in shoes,
Yeah.
but they don't balance very well in heels or barefoot like the old frames. But they don't have the same adjustability either.
But that was one thing with Tommy was all his smart dolls had to have the high heel feet with the high heel shoes on. So every time you saw any of his smart dolls, they had the high heel.
I've got the wedges on now.
You got the wedges. She's got the wedges on here, which helps it bounce better. But Sonia does have the high heel feet on. But all of Tommy's girls had the high heel feet and high heel shoes. So they were very hard to pose sometimes and to balance, but we would get them to balance and stuff. And so that's how he's liked his smart dolls. Now, the one thing I will tell you this with Tommy was, in the beginning, every time I would go out with Tommy and we had the smart dolls, and if we would have them on the table, whatever, I would take Chitose, and if I wanted her to stand, she would just stand like how she is now, or if I wanted her to be sitting, I would have her sitting like this. Now, Tommy, right, yeah, so Tom would say, oh, well, I'm going to put Evie right beside Chitose. Well, he would flop her down, but Evie Chan's legs would be straight out here, like this pair. This one, I had a smile when I saw the pair girl right here because her feet are straight out. That's Tommy right there. Tommy would not bend her knees. And so for the longest, I didn't say nothing. That's his smart dog, that's what he can do with it. One day, it's about a couple years after I got to know Tommy and we can get around stuff, he said, Evie beside Chana, legs straight out. That was it. That was all I could take. And I walked over there, I picked her up, bent her knee. I believe that was the first time that girl's legs ever because it was stiff. It was like, take. And the look on Tom's face was priceless because it looked like I had just assaulted the girl. And I put her down, my set, and I said, that's how she sits. No girl ever sits in the room like the next time. And he just looked at me, I can't believe you should do that. So when I saw that this morning, Tommy, I was like, Tommy's here? So, because that's how she ended it.
I do remember one thing right at the very beginning when we very first saw Chitose sitting on the table, and I got his attention. He went over there and he was like this close to her, and he goes, oh, "Can I touch her?" Remember that?
Yeah.
I got to see him. Can I touch her?
That is the second thing he said. Exactly what Chitose. I said, yeah. You know what's smart? He said, yeah. And he's can I touch her? I'm like,
He knew how to speak.
yeah. It's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. You can do it. And so and that was the first time he saw another smart doll out in public, and especially the first time he ever saw Chitose's skull. Because Chitose, she's the only smart doll with this head sculpt. In the beginning, basically the first 5 smart dolls all had the same head sculpt. So they all said,
They were all mine.
in the beginning, all the smart dolls were Maria. But they had different face-ups, but the head sculpt was the same. But she was the first one he dropped over a different head sculpt, and she's been the only one in that head sculpt since then. So.
Yeah, Tommy, I remember too, is that what I found funny and endearing in a sense was that when the first doll show we set up, we was there, and at the end we was going to change the girls back into their regular clothes or whatever. So me and David popping them off, doing all this stuff. Over here goes Tommy, Misty, and Misty goes over. Tommy sits down, he gets his doll, and she comes over. She covers up.
She puts up this big old barrier to change. You can't change them out in public. That's nudity. Me and kids already got them. I already like stripped that and naked and everything, put it change clothes, and then they were going like trying to put like a bodysuit or something.
And you're all the same ones when you pop their heads off each other. Sorry.
Yeah, so, yeah. But I knew I got the same.
Yeah.
Like, because when
5 years later, sorry. Yeah, exactly.
put a shirt on a smart doll, you have to really, unless it buttons up at the front or zip up in the front or the back, whatever. Most of the time when you put a shirt on, you have to take their heads off to put the shirt on. Okay. So,
That's because they're really form-fitting.
right. Yeah, that's why. So,
Honestly, in a lot of ways, just taking their heads off means getting the wig out of the way.
Yes.
Yeah, some of those long wigs are a pain.
yeah.
Without taking it off their head.
Yeah.
That's,
And at least you don't have to worry about grabbing hold of you.
there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, with a lot of people some people that's here doesn't have a smart doll. The smart dolls are very customizable. You can change the wigs, their eye color, the bust size. They have different hand packs that you can get that have different hand positions and stuff. They do have, like I said, with the feet, you can have regular flat feet, which is like this, or you can have the high heel feet that has the arch in it, so you can put high heel feet. Yes.
Are there little outfits that you can buy for them?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh,
You
yeah.
can change them
You
whenever
can
you want?
spend multiple paychecks.
You can buy outfits from Jenny, or you can go to
Now-
Nancy.
I
Now,
change my
CJ
clothes every day.
Yeah. Now, CJ, they make their outfits as well. You can buy directly from CJ that makes the outfits for their smart dolls. Or you can find makers like on Etsy that makes outfits. Even golfy outfits fits the thing. So you can
There's
it's
a
very
lot
versatile.
of artists that make clothes for them. That's one of the things that Danny Chu has been very helpful about, is he releases sewing patterns and he tells people who sew, yeah, make these patterns, sell them. That's wonderful. I'm not trying to, So there's a lot of different artists in all different price ranges that make clothes for these dolls.
And to add to the customization aspect of them, he makes prosthetic limbs for the dolls, he makes amputees, mastectomy busts, And if you know someone or you yourself have that condition, he will modify the doll free of charge for your representation. He makes dolls with vitiligo, birth defects, scarring, all for the purpose of
Like my Courage
inclusivity.
up there. My Courage has vitiligo.
Yeah, the third one.
Yeah, right there with the Mariah shirt on.
And he sent me a pair of crutches to go with her.
Yep.
Yeah, he does make the crutches. He also makes the
Like Madeline
He
has
He
the
makes
applicator.
ostomies and stuff too.
the hearing aids
He
and
makes
the
ostomies.
yep.
And the, what was it, he also, is that the same for the diabetic?
Yep.
Yeah,
Prosthetics.
he does the
Yeah.
insulin pumps too.
And the hearing aid. And
He also did like I have one. It's called what's her name now? Foundation, and Foundation actually has the scar if you had cleft palate. And she
Oh, I've
has
actually
it.
seen one of those.
I have one of those.
Do you have one?
Yep.
I hadn't seen yours.
But
What is it? He did the marbling for the burn victims too.
yeah, he did almost for that.
He also now has the pear-shaped bodies, which are in more Americanized, realistic style and everything, instead of necessarily the perfect body or whatever people want to call it. They do
full
have the more
figure.
pear-shaped, a full figure to them and everything. And honestly, I think they're freaking gorgeous. Some of them are just absolute, because the faces are actually full. If you look at the faces from like the one here on the end and look at the one next to her, she has that fuller face.
So are they Japanese made or?
Yes.
Yes.
All of them?
Made in Japan.
Maybe all of them.
there are only 2 other distributors in the world.
My husband collects the little ones. He loves them. Yeah. He's trying to make a dollhouse out of them.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, with little computers and all kinds of things. That's cute.
But yeah, we what happened was when Tommy passed away a few years ago, it really hurt a lot of us when he went. It was very unexpected. We didn't expect that to happen, and so on the last few years it's been on my mind about one, how can we honor Tommy, but at the same time, Tommy loved coming to the museum, doll museum. Tommy met Misty would always come to the museum, and they would drag me along with them. They said, "Hey, come with us." I'm like, "Okay, I'll go with you." And so we came up here. They would come there by themselves as well, because he would tell me they would come up here. And so he really loved the museum. And so when we were continued doing the doll shows, Beth had made a comment to me before. I said, "You would think Danny would donate a smart doll to the museum." And I was like, you can ask. The only thing you can say yes or no. You know, it's going to be 2 things. It's just whatever you want to do. But that put in my mind that they want a smart doll for the museum. And so after thinking about it and talking to other guys in a group, we decided to purchase a smart doll. We decided to end up purchasing Maria here, because since she's basically the flagship for Smart Doll, so she represents Smart Doll in general. But we decided to buy her, because Ebony, which one is the one Tom always carried, she's discontinued. You can't get her anymore. But she is a Maria. It's just that her face is different on her. But we got a Maria. She's flagship. I actually contacted or was making a post about looking for certain things to go with her, and a friend of ours, which is also a friend of Tommy and Misty's, Jip Flower. Jip lives in the Netherlands. Okay, so she's on the other side of the world, but she became a good friend of ours through online and through the Smart Dog community, and because there's other Smart Dog groups that we were part of on Facebook, and so she's noticed that I need. We narrowed it down to this Maria school uniform that we wanted for her, and she said, "I have one. I'll donate it to her." So she sent this uniform from the Netherlands to us. It didn't come with the shoes, but I had an extra pair of. Now these are the vinyl. These are Danny made was touring around a few years ago with instead of making real shoes like this, he decided to make vinyl shoes. So I decided, well, if she's going on display here, unfortunately with these shoes over time, they would deteriorate. So since these look just like the original ones, they're never going to deteriorate. So it's like, I'm just going to donate those. So that completed the outfit. Now, Maria, when she first was released, her original wig came down to here, okay? And she had 2 braids on each side that came down as well. Now that wig they no longer produce, but then he made a medium straight wig with the braids here. So this one, once again, those wigs no longer are being made, just basically a medium straight wig, just like this without the braids. Well, I was looking for either one of those wigs, and it didn't dawn on me until last week. I was like, Tommy, like I said, he loves Smart Dolls and was always buying things up. If he sees a good deal on something, he would buy it up. I knew he had a lot of wigs, so I contacted Misty. I said, Misty, by any chance you have a braided wig? I know Tommy collected a lot. She said, I don't know, I'll check. And she dug, and she found this wig here. So this wig came from Misty and Tommy, and it's a braided wig. But the only thing she's missing is her hair clip, but the hair clips are very hard to find. Jip did make a hair clip, which we could put on here. It's not symmetrical, but we can still put it, and it's not magnetic because the original one was magnetic. This one was like a little small clip. So we could put that on there as well. But so as of after we got everything decided, this is what we decided to donate in Tommy's name. It's a Maria.
Well, I think that's sort of all we wanted to say, you know, in celebration of Tommy, but Tommy would be absolutely thrilled with how many new people are here, you know, that the group has continued to get together and grow. And so if any of you would like to, you know, introduce yourselves, talk about your Smart Doll experience, you know, real funny stories that you have, yours, you know, how you got into Smart Doll, we would absolutely love to get to know you more. You know, come up, take pictures, enjoy the museum, and you know, we hope that you will come out to other Smart Doll events. One of the things that I was talking briefly with Emily about, and is that we've gotten to the point now that none of our individual houses can actually host a big meet anymore because there's too many. Particularly when you want to bring all 60-some chitoses.
And you want to be in the air conditioning.
Yes. That maybe we could start having some sort of annual Smart Doll Vinyl BJD event here for the wider community. And so, you know, the more interest that we have, and you know, and active members, you know, both on the club and going to other events, the more we can make that a reality.
Because Billy here he created it's a lower BJD.
Lower South Carolina BJD and Doll Group. So
his group came out way before ours did, but we found them through the internet and everything. And of course, some of them had already started buying Smart Dolls too, and they found out our group. So we started communicating with each other as a group. So it's like, we consider them like our sister group, even though they do all other BJDs, where we would just focus on Smart Dolls. They do all BJDs.
Yeah, that's vinyls, resins, whatever that there is out there. All of our members collect pretty much everything. So there's a wide range of dolls that show up to our meets. So if you're ever interested in seeing what else is out there, kind of like here, you're not going to see any porcelain dolls because nobody has any of those, but you'll see a lot of anime dolls, a lot of fantasy dolls that are like resin based. Jean's got one that's 70 centimeters. She's close to height as the big Mariah over there. And some of the other ones have got, and she's solid resin. She's heavy. Somebody else has got she's got a resin doll that weighs 16 pounds, and he's the Hulk. That Joker is like this tall, and he's like a small child.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is impressive.
I
So.
assume mega gyms are like that, and that's why those boys don't
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't come away from the houses because it's very fragile and people don't want to get any damage to it and stuff. But we try to have stuff down in Charleston area because that's where I'm at. We try to have stuff at least 4, 5, 6 times a year. So if anything comes up, I always post it on their website as well as ours. So you can easily get to our page from their page too. So if you're interested.
And if there's ever a meet that you really want to go to, and you're not sure which one you want to go to, go to the Halloween meet. Everybody dresses up, it's required.
Yep, it is.
Doesn't matter if you wear a sheet. One year our friend wore a sheet with holes cut in it and a CJ tag on the side of it.
Yep. They had a little CJ orange tag on the side of their outfit. It was hilarious.
Halloween meet?
It depends. Sometimes it's
the weekend of, sometimes it's the weekend after. I'll always put up a post and say, look, here's the dates that I'm thinking of doing. We'll vote on it, and the majority of people that can make it is when we make the date. That way we can get the most amount of people there. I always have a big bonfire in the backyard. We cook out. We bring the dolls in. Most of the time we play Dolly Bingo, which is hilarious. There's always prizes for that.
And he always finds the little toys, the little things laying around his house for about the next.
Buff does that on purpose.
That's not Buff.
Wait till I come to your house.
That's me and Joanna.
Joanna, yes. That is our biggest beat though, is the Halloween. So it's a lot of fun.
And one thing I wanted to say, what he kind of touched on, a lot of people in the group, in our group, do have resins. One thing I will say about the smart dolls, as vinyl dolls in general, much easier to handle. If you're looking to do something like this, the vinyl dolls are the way to go. They're much easier to handle. Honestly, I know you were talking about Bill when he first saw Chitose sort of tilting over in the wind and he was trying to go catch. At this point, some of us have gotten to where, oh, well, she fell. She didn't break anything, she's good.
Yep.
Yeah, because, I mean, honestly, unless you really, really drop it.
Yeah, my miniface missing toes and I don't even know how it happened.
Yes.
I had one missing a finger. I have no idea how that happened.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
These you don't have to worry about. You might have to worry about a hand popping off and your cat taking it and hiding it somewhere. Other than that, they're pretty good. Yeah, that's why you get spare hand.
Raw concrete is a concern for face-ups.
Yeah, that's not a little stuff.
Yes, they actually do have a couple of them that are zombies. They have one of them's got a scar across her face here, another one's over
And there's
here.
a lot of artists that will do very customized work.
Creepy
Yes.
No, absolutely. I do have to say this. We had done a meetup at Malachi and Madeline's house that one summer. And they had got this big rocket out there in the front yard.
It is a drop tank
It's a rocket!
from an F-100 Super Sabre. It is mounted upside down on a stand to look like a rocket. But I have a saddle on.
So he has a saddle on. Well, Tommy got this big idea. We're going to go up there and ride it. So, and this is hot, and so he's like, we'll get up there and take some pictures. And
they have them in different.
So we got
blue one as well.
Tommy got up on it, and he had some of the girls go on there with him. Well, at one time we decided to have, me and David said, we'll have Chizuru and Chitose set up on there. And so Chizuru was in front, Chitose was in the back. So we took some pictures, and as soon as we went up there to get her, David felt Chitose, and she was very pliable. And so he handed Chizuru to me, and when I looked at Chizuru, her eyes were in the back of her head. Yeah, the heat on the thing had actually, reflecting off the rocket, had actually heated up both of the dolls. And since Chizuru was in front, she was getting the full force, and so our eyes went whoop, in the back of her head. Yeah, the glue, the tack in there came undone.
That's one thing with the vinyls, smart dolls, is even the earlier ones, the very first ones that came out were really a hard vinyl, very hard. You can tell an original one from a newer one.
Yeah, Moonlight's like that.
Yeah. Well, you put them in the sun or heat long enough, they're going to get pliable and they're going to get soft. Kind of like how the new, what they call the peach bottom body, it has soft body, and that's how pliable these will get. So you have to watch it if you put them in your car, leave them in the car, don't leave them in too long because their eyes are holed in by blue tack. And then blue tack, if it gets warm, it's going to loosen up and their eyes are going to be in the back of their head. And you're like, oh, where'd their eyes go? Well, they're in the bottom of their head. Okay? So you have to watch out with heat. And
one other concern with those styles, any of them, regardless of skin tone really, is staining from certain fabrics.
Yeah, fabrics, yeah.
Certain fabrics will stain them. However, if you do have that happen, do not freak out. There are plenty of people in this room who know exactly what to do. And some of us take more extreme measures than others, but, you know, hey, it worked, didn't it?
You have to tell the class what you do.
So, the normal method is to take zit cream,
Oxy-10 or benzoyl peroxide.
Or benzoyl peroxide. And you put it on there, you lather it on, and you put it under a heat lamp, which draws out the dyes and pulls that out of the plastic or the PVC or whatever it is. Fine, excuse me. And, well, I got the bright idea of speeding up that process by putting them in pressure cookers.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, wait.
Oh, yes.
I did not do it with a smart doll. And I tested my theory on an extra doll, on extra doll parts that I had.
Okay.
And it was actually white skin doll parts that I had.
I just did it.
And I removed all the stains from them in about an hour. Wow. So I had a $1,200 Yoko from Volks, which at the time she was probably worth more like $1,600.
Yeah.
She had a couple stains on her, so I took them off and I took the plastic, the skeletal structure out, it'll bend.
Yeah.
Took it out, put the vinyl in there, wrapped it in cloth with all the stuff in it, goo all over it, put it in there for about 3 minutes, pulled it out, took twice, and the stains were gone.
Wow.
I bet your kitchen smelled delicious.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. The smell of benzoyl
Oh, I know.
heat
Heat it up and steam through
make your eyes
it.
water. But it works. It was an experiment. I've only done it a couple times, but it does work. But
you're talking about stains. Matter of fact, I had Chitose in a jeans, pair of jeans, and a tank top up until yesterday. Actually, last night I had her in that, and she had been wearing that outfit probably for like last month or so. Okay, so when I took her out last night to exchange her into this outfit, when I took her out of the outfit, on the back of her legs right here were 2 blue marks on the back of her legs. Now, what happened was when I have a Maria I carry, which Danny made to carry smart dolls, and in order to carry a smart doll in it, you have to bend their legs, and then they go into the side of the bag like that, and they stand like that, right? So I take Chitose with me most everywhere I go. So apparently what happened was that jeans was rubbing on the inside of that bag, right across there. So I saw that last night, and I was like, oh man. I was like, I don't have time for doing like what usually they want you to do, the zip cream or whatever, put it on there, put it in the sun for like an hour or so. And now her body is one of the older bodies, so hers, it's not the original body, but it's still more sturdy vinyl. So I'm like, let me check. And I had a magic eraser. Magic eraser took it right off. Now I will say this, of all the skin tones, the T seems to be the most resistance to stain, also the easiest to get a stain off, as opposed to like a cinnamon, and she's milk.
So is the keys in that front?
The milks are actually
milk.
America's milk.
Have you ever dealt with pink staining?
Paint?
Pink.
pink.
It's from a bacteria called Streptococcus.
So most of the pink staining you see is actually not the bacteria. Most
It's
of that
not?
is it's called, so when you see that in like My Little Pony and things like that, it looks like a pink highlighter.
Yes.
That is called regrade. That is actually degradation of the plastic because they use recycled plastic in the production of it.
Why are my girls getting it?
So it can be bacteria, but more often it's probably a degradation of the plastic. So vinyl is incredibly finicky when it comes to the ratios of making it. Very small changes, and some of that can just be degradation of the plastic.
I figured it was because I accidentally handled them with my hands wet.
No, we've had ours in ponds.
Because I've only had Will for a year.
She's gone swimming.
She's been in Lake Tillery.
Yeah, so
yours has been in the ocean.
there's a small chance that it could be something like a mold or whatever. Bleach will get rid of it.
Will it affect her T-skin though?
Yeah. So to be full disclosure, I'm a PhD chemist, so
All right.
but yeah, so it won't, because we've done,
Tell them about ebony.
yeah, so I got an ebony off of eBay, one of the original cocoa ebonies, or Harmony, sorry, that was so badly nicotine stained, like I could not have her in the house.
She came home and stunk
She
it
smelled like
up.
Wow.
Like she had to been chain smoking to the whole time.
We disassembled her, we did everything from, the Vaseline treatments to the bleach soaks. She smells way better now. But they are, PVC is very, very chemically resistant. That's why it's used in so many things. So your average household chemical is not going to hurt them unless you leave it in there for like a week or something. So yeah, you're fine to use bleach. So the main thing is rinse things off well and dry them afterwards.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, one thing I did forget about Tommy was Tommy. His girls always had a certain look, but Tommy loved his girls to have jewelry, and I'm talking about real jewelry, not costume or even toy. He actually would go to pawn shops and buy real rings and necklaces and stuff. So all his girls had real. He would use rings as bracelets. Okay.
It worked really well.
And so he, the first Christmas after we met, Tommy ended up giving this necklace to Chitose. And it's a real silver necklace with, what ruby is that?
Sapphire.
Sapphire, a real sapphire, because the blue sapphire matched Chitose's eyes. And so, but he gifted that to her, even shortened up the chain and everything so she can wear it. He also did one for Chizuru, and he found an emerald to match her green. So, her green eyes. So, he loved getting jewelry for his smart dolls, and then he also ended up giving one for, like I said, Chitose and Chizuru, and then
Kat's got a ring that she wears as a bracelet.
And he gave her, which.
And then Madeline and I each have jewelry from him as well.
So.
Infinity.
She's in Infinity.
Yeah, she's in Infinity.
So.
So he smells.
So yeah, Tommy was a big part of our group, and like I said, even though I only knew Tommy for 4 years, from until he passed, it felt like I knew him longer than that. We had a lot of stuff in common and everything. So this was just something that we decided I wanted to do for Tommy, but also at the same time help the museum, because they've been smart off for the community or the museum as well. And I thought, well, to help too, one to honor Tommy and also to get them in there. Because I was talking to Emily, I was like, we'll get one. She said, I said, one's not enough. And she's like, no, yeah, you're not right. We'll have to get more. She said, well, we'll help with that. And then little did I know, last night, Madeline, or yesterday, no, not before last, Madeline contacted me and says, I might be getting something from Danny. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, he's going to donate. And then they donated this to the museum as well. So Danny, even though he's the owner and creator of Smart Dolls, he didn't have to do this.
No, you didn't.
But that's the kind of guy he is. It takes time on certain people to recognize what they do for the community as well. Because Tommy loved Smart Dolls. He had a certain way he liked his Smart Dolls, and which everybody does. Everybody has their own style, and that's what's special about the Smart Doll. Get your Smart Doll, style them the way you want to. That's why they're customizable. You know, so me, I always like my girls to be straight from factory. You know, that's why Chitose's, her name stayed the same. Now, the funny thing is, when I got her, there was this anime we watched called Yuri Yuri. And in the anime, there was a set of twins. One was called Chitose, one was called Chizuru, okay? And to me, the twins made the show, okay? Just because they were crazy. But one had blue eyes, one had green eyes, and that's why she's called Chizuru. And I kept her Chitose. But we did end up having their school uniform from that anime made. Matter of fact, we have a member. She doesn't show up that often, but she was the one that actually made the outfit for us. But it's just get you a.
David, on behalf of the museum, I would like to tell you and the group, thank you so much for this donation. It means a lot to us because all of the items that you see in the museum have been donated. We're a nonprofit 501c3, and that's how we have all this amazing stuff. And so you guys are just adding to the collection and sort of bringing us into the next century, which is what we hope to do with some more of the exhibits. And especially a lot of us are getting ready to hit our 50s, and so things are popular once again. You know, I was listening to a podcast this morning about Pokemon, and so I thought, oh yeah, okay. But anyway, this is a wonderful addition to the museum, and it's something we never could have dreamed of getting on our own, so thank you very much. That's really great. Yeah.
I'm here with Misty and Tommy now, and Tommy is one of the co-founders of our Carolina Smart Doll group, and that's what we're here today meeting as our club. So thank you for being here with me today and answering these questions.
Thank you for having us.
And my first question for you is, how did you first find out about Smart Doll?
Well, the first time I saw one, I was on social media, and I follow a lot of Japanese anime type sites, and the first time I ever saw one was there.
So from the time you first saw one until you bought your first one, how long was that in between?
The first time I saved a photo on my phone was in December of 2016, and it took me a year to work up the courage to buy one.
Or talk me into it.
Right,
Talked you
right.
into doing it?
Yes.
Talk her into it.
Yes.
And so I was originally gonna get one for Christmas for her, so it was almost an entire year.
Oh, wow. Who was the first one that you brought home?
So I picked out Ebony originally because I thought she looked like Misty the most, and that was the one that I had originally planned to buy her for Christmas. But the very next day, after I had purchased her, Misty sent me the pictures of Sana. She had just came out and said, I want this one. So she successfully doubled my Christmas order that year.
Well, there you go.
So technically they were both in at the same time.
So they both came in at the same time.
That's right.
So your Smart Doll collection was immediately too.
It was immediately too, and I said, well, if she doesn't like her, I can set her on my desk, and she'll be an awesome desk mascot. But little did I know it would turn into all this.
It evolved into much more. So who is your favorite Smart Doll today in your collection?
Ebony is still my favorite.
She's still your favorite, so your first is your favorite. Misty, who's your favorite? Sana. So
Always.
these are the two favorites, the first and the favorites. That's the case with a lot of people. The first is the favorite.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for somebody that's considering getting into Smart Dolls or buying their first Smart Doll?
And we recently gained a new member, and I like the way that he did it. He joined one of the national Smart Doll Facebook groups, and we just happened to find that he was in our area. So we welcomed him to come check them out. That would be what I would recommend that you do. You want to find a group that's near you. There's lots in the United States now. You can find them locally. You can get a hold of someone who has one, message them. Most Smart Doll people want to spread the word, so
we like to show off our dolls.
we like to show off our dolls. That's correct.
We like to get more people collecting.
That's right.
So.
We're enablers.
That's why I have this. That's why I have Chitose, and that's why I have Zombie, is because of this club. So it was definitely enabled from my last our last meetup. So is there anything else that you want to tell people about Smart Dolls, or like your collecting in general, or just any other advice or tips for people?
Well, the biggest thing is there's a lot of stuff out there, and you want to find sources that you trust to give you advice. Make sure you find someone that you trust, and make sure that you don't jump into something. There's a lot of misinformation out there as well. The hobby is ever evolving, and it's a very fast-paced hobby. Even Ebby and Sana here, who are less than 5 years old, are both completely discontinued now from the list. So if you see what you want, get it. I recommend that you contact Fabric and Friends. That is the local United States retailer. That's where I got these two. But I'm not afraid to buy on the Japanese site as well. It's painless and easy. You can do it as long as you have a PayPal account, and you can get shipping a lot of times in less than a week.
Yeah,
So
it's super fast.
super fast.
Well, Misty, Tommy, thanks for talking with me today. I really enjoyed it. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you very much, Allison.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Enjoy this montage, I guess. That's probably not the right word, of all the dolls that were in attendance yesterday and on display at the club. Some of them you've seen spliced throughout the video, but this is one last video I took before I left. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.